morning and welcome to another edition of Young People's Report. I'm Andrea Grefe.
And I'm Jessica Taylor. Today we'll take a look behind the scenes at a local newspaper and find out how a sweet, nutty snack is made.
We'll also go to a place that has kids climbing the walls and take a look at a hobby that has taken over a local family's basement.
But first, we're here at Dow Gardens in Midland enjoying the beautiful weather. If you would like to come here on a similar day, all you need to do is watch your local news. Adam Barber explains.
Here we go. 2, 1, stand by open. On the open, go ahead and give me control.
Every day, people all over tune into NBC 25 to find out what's going on. From daily events to the scores of their favorite teams, they also tune in to find out about their area's weather. Weather is one of the few things the news covers that's going to, in one way or another, affect everyone. That makes weather forecasting quite an important job. This is Glenn Willing. He's a meteorologist here at NBC 25. It's his job to look at all of the information that comes in and put together a forecast for the coming day and even week. But how does he do it? I wanted to find out, so I asked Glenn to teach me how to be a weatherman.
The first thing I do is I start getting on the internet and I start looking at some of the different charts and different graphics and such that are available. You want to try to get as much information as you can. You know, as many different sources as possible to come in so that you can look and see, okay, this model's saying this. Well, this one says this. Well, why do they say something different? So if you can get as many sources as possible and try to compare those and see why one says one thing, one says another, you can draw some conclusions on your own. What we're doing now is we're just going in here and we're telling the computer to load up that satellite picture that we just got. Now we're ready to start making our 3D fly-through. I think what we'll do tonight is we'll probably start maybe like back here and look this way into the country. Then we'll fly up here, and then we'll go right down along these showers so you can look at those. And we'll go around and zip straight back up and finish looking into Michigan. Okay, now we're going to preview this and see what it looks like through different steps of the way. We won't look at every single frame, but I want to see where it's going to start, where it's going to end, and a couple pictures in the middle just to make sure it's going to look okay. I think weather forecasting is important because, one, it affects everyone, and two, depending on the situation, it can mean the difference between life and death a lot of times if you're dealing with tornadoes or hurricanes or severe weather like that. So it's very important that people know what's happening and when it's going to happen.
And now, NBC 25 News continues with your pinpoint forecast.
Weather shot tonight in Genesee County. Not a bad afternoon.
During the news, Glenn is seen standing in front of a map and a bunch of graphics that change throughout his forecast. This is done by using a technique called chroma key. What Glenn is really in front of is a huge green screen. The director of the newscast then electronically replaces the green screen with the computerized maps and graphics. So what you see at home is a lot different than what is actually seen in the studio. Weather forecasting is really a science that allows viewers to see into the future, and meteorologists like Glenn have a huge responsibility to make their forecasts as accurate as possible. From the NBC 25 studio in Clio, I'm Adam Barber, reporting for YPR.
Television is a great source for all your news and weather, but if you're on the go, then you probably need a more portable version. Tiffany Prout took a look around at the Flint Journal to find out where your paper comes from. She has our story.
When you pick up a newspaper, you can read stories from across the world. But what many don't realize is that the work involved in printing a newspaper like this one is no easy task. Here in the newsroom, writers and photographers cover stories from across mid-Michigan. After all the stories are finished and the best pictures and graphics are scanned, page designers and editors lay them out on computers. Photos are scanned and converted into a half-tone image that is made up of a series of tiny dots.
I take care of all of the photos that come in, whether they be from our photographers or if they come in through satellite. We get them from all over the world. And I'll take them and I'll crop them and I'll make them so that they're able to go on our press and come out looking nice in the paper.
In this department, we put the ads and the news together to complete the page. The news comes out of the machine over here from the editorial department, and we just place it. It's like a puzzle.
A special camera then takes a picture of each page to make a negative.
This is the lens here. The film is inside. crank the film down. This swings the vacuum board forward, holds the film in place, drilling a hole in it. And then this is just like pressing the flash button on your camera.
The negative is then placed onto special metal sheets called plates that are coated with a plastic that is sensitive to ultraviolet light. When the plate is exposed to ultraviolet light, it is then processed in a special machine. All the areas that were black on the negative are washed by the jets of hot water, leaving only the raised portion behind. When they are ready to go to press, it all starts right here. Just one of these rolls weighs about 1,800 pounds, and they use about 45 of these each day.
Okay, Tiffany, now here is some plates that we have mounted onto the press for the daily run today. They'll pick up the ink from this rubber roller here to the plate, and as you can see, it's going onto the newsprint of today's paper.
Each year, the Flint Journal uses about 16,000 rolls of paper and 300,000 pounds of ink. For one paper, that's a lot. From the Flint Journal in Flint, I'm Tiffany Prout reporting for YPR.
We have to take a break, but when we come back, we'll visit a local place that specializes in a nutty sweet treat.
Don't go away. Mother Nature produces many different kinds of food for us to eat, but a shop in Birch Run has found a way to improve on one of these creations. Andrea and Masud investigated and filed this report.
There's a wonderful cinnamon scent drifting through the air, and it's all coming from this little store, Going Nuts. What's so great about their cinnamon glazed almonds is that they make them fresh right here.
I enjoy most about making them is making the people happy that we make them.
First step is to heat up the kettle.
First we put the kettle into the machine and then get it into the sprocket like that. And we put the water in first, which is a 1 1/3 cup water.
The next step is to add the sugar, cinnamon, and almonds.
And this is 2.5 pounds of almonds. And then we put in the sugar.
You need about 1.5 pounds of sugar for every 2.5 pounds of almonds.
And then this is a large, scooped up full tablespoon of cinnamon. This is where we turn this machine on to high. Now see how wet they are at this point? What will happen is as the heat comes up, the sugar will disappear. It'll melt and it'll come back almost dry like sugar again. Now you can see that it's getting a little bit stringier in there, and that means that the temperature has taken that water and sugar and has boiled out the water. This is probably the trickiest part of making the almonds, is to know exactly when to turn them over. Hear that snapping? To turn them over to the other cycle. Then we set our timer for 3 minutes.
You can tell by their texture that the almonds are ready.
You see, that part there is what's going to make the glaze. See how shiny they're becoming? And there you go.
After that, they are put into bags and are ready for the anxious customers who have been drawn there by their wonderful smell. While shopping here at the Outlet Mall, customers are sure to go nuts, for almonds, that is.
Here's some of the fresh ones we just made.
Thank you. From Going Nuts in Birch Run, I'm Andrea Masud reporting for YPR.
Throughout history, people have found ways to entertain others through different types of theatrical performance. Crystal Lucas Perry looked into one type that involves a little creativity and a lot of imagination. She has our story.
All of us have been to a puppet show or have seen them perform on TV to know that it takes quite a bit of practice and skill to control them. But what most people don't know is that the real art is making them.
People aren't used to seeing marionettes too much anymore. For a lot of children in schools now, or in libraries where I do my shows, they've never seen a marionette before in their life, so this is something brand new. I think what's special about them is that I'm still using very old techniques to build these puppets. My puppets are carved mostly from wood, and there aren't that many puppeteers around today who are doing that. Many people have gone to simpler methods. The first thing I have to do is make a drawing of the puppet the same size I want the puppet to be. Most of my puppets are about 2 feet tall. And then I make cardboard patterns from that drawing. Here on this side, we've got the patterns for the front of the marionette. His chest, his tummy, his hips, a leg here, a foot here, and an arm here. And then I draw these pieces onto a block of wood. Here, for instance, is the side of one arm.
The pieces of wood are then carved and shaped to make the skeleton for the marionette.
Next, I have to cut these pieces apart. This notch shows me where the puppet's elbow is going to be. So I cut this in two, and using heavy string, which I thread through almost like you'd string beads, I can make a joint so the arm can move. Here's a leg, and you can see here the cord that I used to keep all the pieces together. So the leg can bend at the knee, just like your knee and mine can move, and it can bend here at the ankle, up and down a little bit. And when all of this is put together, we've got a body that works a lot like ours does. The next thing I do is model a head in clay. Then I have to use plaster to make a mold, and I pour rubber in the mold, and when it pops out, I've got a head that only needs paint.
After that, a custom-fitted costume is made for the marionette. Then strings are added so it can be controlled. As you can see, making a marionette is just as much an art as performing with one. And no two are ever alike. In Flint, I'm Krista Lucas Perry, reporting for YPR.
We have to take another break, but when we come back, we'll take a look behind the scenes at a local company that specializes in saving lives.
Don't go away, there's lots more to come on YPR.
Every day, there's a group of people on the road who are working to save lives. Samantha Greenberg spent some time with them to find out how they do their job and filed this report.
Here in the big city, there are emergencies and accidents every day. But what happens if you're part of that emergency? There are a few simple tips that you should know.
The first thing you should do is call 911.
Here at Mobile Medical Response in Saginaw, emergency medical dispatchers are kept very busy. This communication center handles about 35,000 calls a year.
The call is received by one operator. They're going to take your address, name, phone number, and what's your emergency. Another dispatcher is going to be sending the ambulance at that time.
The ambulances are equipped with devices that allow the dispatcher to track them on this computer screen, shows exactly where they are and if they are active.
And what you're seeing is the different ambulances that are located within Saginaw right now. The ambulances that are moving are a little bit larger. This one is right now shut off.
These things can seem kind of scary, with the loud sirens, colored lights, and a cargo full of strange-looking objects. But don't worry, it's all there to help you.
In the medical field, doctors can't go out to the houses, and nurses can't always be there. So that's why we're here.
Two of the paramedics here were more than happy to show me a few of the things that they do.
For car accident stuff, we leave on the outside so we can get at it easier. We've got our backboards in here, and then in here, we have cervical collars or neck braces. We're gonna do this to you. We'll let you know what it's like.
If you get hurt or in an accident, we have to put a collar around you, and the collar helps remind you not to move. Because you're on a board, and the board is that big splint for your back, we have a ton of seatbelts to put on you so that you don't move. And these go on either side of your head. Dave's gonna come in here. They help to keep your head still, because obviously it's kind of hard for me to hold on to your head all the way to the hospital.
I'm gonna tape this to the backboard, and then this will snug up. We'll put one across your chin here. Okay, this one's gonna go across your forehead.
Okay, now I can let go of your head, and we can put you on the cot and take you to the hospital. Everything that we carry on our ambulance in some way or another helps you. None of it hurts. We have oxygen to help you feel better if you're having trouble breathing. We carry stuff to monitor your heart if there's something wrong with your heart or you're having chest pain. We use these by some little sticky patches called electrodes. This has got to go up on your chest, right there. And then this one goes on this side. And the red one goes on your ribs over here. Every time you see a spike, that's showing that your heart has beat once. And it tells me how fast your heart is beating at a rate of 76, which is normal. This is called a finger probe that goes right on there. And it takes just a couple seconds and it will start to read your pulse. What this is telling me right here is that your pulse rate is 82, which is perfect and normal. The amount of oxygen in your bloodstream is 97%. 97 to 100% is normal.
On this radio, we've got different channels. We would just punch up the different hospitals. All we would have to do is press the button, and we would talk to the doctor right in the emergency room, and we could tell him exactly what's going on.
Mobile Medical Response's total service area is about 4,000 square miles and covers over 500,000 lives. That's quite a big responsibility, but they seem up for the job. From Saginaw, I'm Samantha Greenberg reporting for YPR.
If you're like most kids, you've probably had adults telling you what to do all of your life. But if you had the chance to give your parents a few tips, what would you say? That's the question we asked some local kids in our YPR Question of the Week.
I think parents should send their kids to their room more often just to get away from their family and to be by themselves and express their own feelings.
Parents should let kids go wherever they want because so the kids can have more fun.
To get pets that we want and my sister to behave better. The parents should let the kids stay up later because, like, if you had a show on at 10, then you should be able to stay up later, like 10:30. They should stop arguing so they could, like, keep the relationship going instead of divorcing and things, you know. I think too many parents would do drugs, and they should stop doing drugs because they could take their problems out on their children.
I think they should not scream as much because then that causes divorces a lot and it hurts and makes the kids think that the parents are going to get divorced that night. I think they shouldn't swear at their kids because it hurts their feelings.
I think they should get more involved with their kids' activities and make more games up for us, and because we're not kids forever. I mean, gosh, parents are always working and they don't have time to spend with their kids, and they send us off to these boring schools because they don't have time for us.
I think they should not work as much and come home and have fun.
If you have a suggestion for a question of the week or a story idea for YPR, drop us a line. The best way is to write us a note and send it to Young People's Report, NBC 25, P.O. Box 250, Clio, Michigan 48420. You can also call us, send us a fax, or email us. You never know, you could be our next story.
We have to take another break, but when we come back, we'll visit a place that has people climbing the walls.
Don't go away. There's lots more to come on YPR.
In the movies, you've probably seen someone climbing their way up the side of a mountain. If that appeals to you, there's a local place where you can experience the thrill without all the danger. YPR's David Halloran checked it out and filed this report. For most people that live in Michigan, rock climbing is a sport that requires a lot of travel. But to get started, you don't have to travel any farther than the Midland Gymnastics Club. This is Jeff McCoy at the Like a Rock Climbing Gym. Now, what do we do to get started with all this stuff?
Well, we need to review some basic safety techniques involved in climbing, and I need to get you fitted with the right equipment. We'll start with a climbing shoe. If you'll pull your shoes off, we can get a climbing shoe on you.
Okay, now what kind of outdoor climbing is this wall like?
The majority of it is like sport climbing or face climbing. That is typically the modern style of climbing. That's the selection of this shoe.
Okay, now I see these ropes here. How do I get them hooked on?
Well, you need a harness, which will fit you in this model. This is called a body harness, which we're choosing because of your size, opposed to the one I'm wearing, which is a waist harness.
Do you have any tips for me to start climbing this?
Sure, let's get started over on this vertical wall. It's got some of the easier routes, a better place to start. Now I need to put you on belay.
Okay, now what exactly is belay?
Belay means to make safe. It's old sailing terminology. To belay you, I pull up the slack in the rope and tell you you're on belay. At that point, when you're ready to climb, you say climbing, and I say climb on. So I'm ready, belay on.
Climbing.
Climb on.
Okay.
Get hurt if you're on this thing because the ropes will catch you and it's very safe.
I think it's real fun and but there's only one thing bad and it's not even really that bad. It's just that your fingers hurt after a while.
It looked like a lot of fun and so I tried it and it was fun and it's a challenge so I like doing it now. I'm not that scared of heights and I used to like climbing trees and it's kind of like that. It's fun, interesting, exciting, and it's a good way to get stronger. By the time I got to the top, I was shaking, but you know, it was really fun to do, and I had a great time doing it, and I made it to the top.
With a little instruction and a lot of practice, you too can make it to the top. From the Liquor Rock Climbing Gym in Midland, I'm David Halloran, reporting for YPR. If you're looking for a new hobby to start the summer, you might want to consider an old favorite. Addison Peil visited a local family to find out how they got their hobby on the right track. He explains.
The sound of feet running down the stairs is not unusual for any house. But here at the Zamanics, the kids aren't running for TV or video games, they're headed for their trains. Model trains are not as popular as they once were, and while many boys once dreamed of having one, you can't even find them in most toy stores.
Anybody that comes over to play with or just sees the model trains would find them fun and amazing, but they would miss out on the most important part about this layout, building it. For the Zamanics, it's more than just a train table. It's a never-ending group project.
I think one of the most important things that they have gained is time spent with their dad. All three of them have developed interests because of the trains.
My dad has gotten me interested in lots of hobbies, and this got me started. I've really gotten interested in art after we did this, and it's just a really fun hobby to me.
Not only does this family have fun and work together, but they learn a lot in the process.
I'd like to think that I've passed along to my kids the ability to create, the ability to know that if you focus your sights upon something, that the sky is the limit, that they'll always have that creative edge, and they can take the trains a step further and they can apply it to electronics, they can apply it to computers.
My dad has taught me about electric things and how to solder and things like that.
I like building cities with cars and running the trains and kind of helping my dad.
I think it's sad that more fathers don't take more time to spend with their youngsters. Because if we lose that kid inside of us, we lose it all. And for a young person to be denied that creativity or not to have a chance to even explore that creativity or get that one-on-one time with their folks is just, to me, just a sin.
From Saginaw Township, I'm Addison Peil, reporting from YPR. That's all the time we have for this week.
Thanks for joining us and have a great weekend.